All right, man, let's get it, man. What's going on, man? It's your main man, El Grande Gato, also known as the Big Cat. And this is 1995, The Roar. Channel 4, the fan by the fans, restoring the roar, man. And look, man, so far, it looks like the roar has been restored back in Charlotte as the Carolina Panthers have gone streaking, this time in the Big Apple. They extend their 4-game winning streak over the New York Jets here, and now coming back home to face a big opponent in the Buffalo Bills here. But it's going to be a little bit of a twist. Breaking news, according to NFL pundit Tom Pizzario, Bryce Young will be out for this game and maybe for the foreseeable future, possibly up to 2 to 4 weeks. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the streak. We'll talk about how the Jets game played out, and are the Carolina Panthers for real, okay? All right, so first thing first, let's talk about this Jets game here. I went back, watched the tape. First of all, I want to say, man, shout out to the Carolina Panthers, man. They literally resurrected themselves from the pathetic organization, the pathetic team that they were in the first couple of weeks, to probably now a sleeper team, you know, if you're looking going forward here. And I think that is because they reestablished the run game. I said it once, and I said it before. If you go back and you look at my films from earlier in the season and looking early in the offseason, I said if this team is going to be something special, it's going to be due to the run game. The less times Bryce throw it, the more times he run it, the more times he run it successfully, chance you get to win ball games. And that's the recipe, and that has been the recipe. So, yeah. I don't want to say Bryce has necessarily, you know, been the difference maker. But he hasn't hurt us, right? I can't give him the credit for being just the phenomenal, just star that, you know, everybody is hoping he would be. But he's been the guy that hasn't hurt us, right? As long as you don't hurt us, I'm okay. I don't need you to be a superstar. And that has been his MO, at least from my standpoint anyway. That has always been my standpoint. Don't hurt us. You know what I mean? Manage the game. And that's what he's did over these last 4 weeks here. Let's take a look at the box score real quick. When you look at the 13-6 win over the Jets, it was defense dominated and run game established. What's been happening over the last couple of weeks with Rico Dotto, dating back to the Miami Dolphins game, and even the Atlanta Falcons game, you've seen some of the run game established there, but more so the defense. What I will say is this, just to kind of put things in perspective, the Jets aren't good, okay? The Broncos had 8 sacks with them the last week they played them. So, you know, I try to put things into context, although I'm proud and happy we got the win, and I'm even happy about the streak. I can't say I'm ready to buy in 100%, because every team we face has had some kind of challenge. And that has nothing to do with us. We got to go out there and put the pads on the way we put them on. But when you really try to gauge the strength of your team or how well they're doing or how well they're projected to do, you got to look at your opponent. You know, the Miami Dolphins, they missed Tyreek Hill. And not only have they missed Tyreek Hill, they just been a bad team. Okay, they've been getting blown out. I think they lost again yesterday as well. The Dallas Cowboys, although they're slightly good, you know what I mean? They didn't have CeeDee Lamb, and we struggled with George Pickens. So imagine if CeeDee Lamb goes in there, does that game go a different way? No, you know what I mean? And it's not to take anything away from, because we found a way to win. But at the end of the day, we're beating teams not on their full strength, or teams that aren't really very good. All right, so after the Cowboys game, well, we had the Falcons game. We beat those guys pretty handily. That was a defensive performance. And then lastly, we beat the Jets. And the Jets had 6 games. And you know what I mean? They had 6 sacks last week, right? Or 8 sacks last week by the Broncos. So if anybody thought that we're going to come in here and struggle against the Jets, well, they must not watch the Broncos game last week, because the Broncos easily did that. One thing I will say I'm impressed by is the Carolina Panthers actually got to the quarterback. Okay, Panthers struggled to get to the quarterback. They had 6 times right here, and Derrick Brown was a monster game, right? 2 sacks, 7 tackles. You know what I mean? That kind of performance you get out of Derrick Brown, you don't normally get that out of him. He's not a pass rusher, right? So the fact that he's been versatile in this game, you gotta put some respect on that. And shout out to the defense, the Nick Scortons of the world, and Jaycee Horn proving that he's a lockdown cornerback. Or maybe he just took advantage of a favorable matchup. Shout out to Kevin Shepard. Thank you for that super sticker, brother. He said, Big Cat, we haven't been at full strength either. That's a good point. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right there. But what I will say is this. Regardless of all those things, we kept pounding, we kept winning. You know what I mean? We kept pounding, we kept winning. But I'm looking, like I said, I'm just trying to project forward, right? How do we match up with the Buffalo Bills, the Green Bay Packers? We're going to find out what this team really is. If we can come home and beat the Buffalo Bills, who are raging mad, right? They lost to the Falcons last week. So, man, they're out for blood. Shout out to, who's this man? Give me a second, y'all. Shout out to that one dude. Hey, that one dude, how you doing, brother? Anthony Brown, what's good? Striker Blue, what's good? Hey. Yeah, so, well, what I'm saying, I lost my train of thought. Oh, here we go. If we can come home and beat the mess out of the Buffalo Bills, and we can come home and beat the Packers, or go on the road to beat the Packers, excuse me, I'm a believer. But as of right now, I'm not taking anything away from them. I got respect for them, man, but it's just kind of like every win so far on the streak has a question mark or asterisk beside it, right? You know what I mean? Imagine beating everybody's, subpar team, right? Like, imagine, let me give you an example. Imagine playing like the Lakers without Kobe and Shaq. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's like, okay, well, they're still the Lakers, but they don't have their best. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to do that. But, you can't determine whether or not they're fully healthy. So I want to be fair on both ends. I'll put it to you like this, man. If we can do what the Falcons did to Buffalo, I'm buying in. But it's nice. And then we gotta face Baker twice as well. This is Baker's division. I don't care what nobody says, you know what I mean? It's Baker's division or nothing. So we start putting dubs up on the Bucks, put dubs up on the Buffalo and the Packers. Shit, man, where do I sign in at? I'm buying in. But right now, it's just nice. And we're going to talk about Bryce Young and his injury here in just a second. What I will say is this. The thing that caught my eye with the Jets game is, although the defense did their part, and, Justin Fields had 46 yards passing, just as he had last week. And then you had Tyrod Taylor come off the bench, had 126 yards passing. We still only won by 7. 13-6. We won by 7. So when you see like a performance like this, you would kind of think like, hey man, the Jets are 0-6. We should be blowing these boys out. What we did to Atlanta, you should have did that to the Jets, right? You know how we beat Atlanta, shut them out? Was like 38 to what? 38-0. You should be doing that to the Jets. But the fact that we struggle with the Jets, again, good win. And it was a lesser opponent than the Falcons, and we only managed to muster up 13 points. The distribution between Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard, 17 carries for Rico Dowdle, 14 for Chuba Hubbard. Yeah, man, I like this right now. If it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. I like Chuba, man. I told you guys in the past that Chuba will lose his job to Rico Dowdle. I've been said that, y'all. If y'all watch the content in the past, just go back and watch my old videos. I know I haven't been posting, man. Say Rico will take Chuba's job. And to me, that's the rightful move. I don't think they should try to force Chuba into a situation that's already working, right? You know what I mean? I'm okay if Rico Dowdle comes out here and get 20-plus carries a game. Even if that means Chuba get anywhere between, 10, 12 carries a game. You know what I mean? If that. You know what I mean? And Chuba's a solid back, man, but, the hot hand is ride. You got to ride him right now. You know what I mean? As Rico Dowdle put up 79 yards. Who knows if you give him more carries, maybe that guy comes out here and rush for the 100 against the Jet. But, yeah, kudos to them, man. Hopefully this doesn't become a problem going forward. I know in the past we have had two stable running backs with Stephen Davis, Deshaun Foster, DeAndre Williams, Jonathan Stewart, you know what I mean? So it's a way we can work, you know what I mean? But to me, it should be a clear-cut, concise statement in that locker room that Rico Dowdle's our number one. You know what I mean? That's how it goes, man. You know what I mean? You lose your job, due to injuries or whatever or unavailability. It just goes that way sometimes. You know what I mean? So let's not try to force Chuba in a position to where he has to come back and prove that he belongs. You know what I mean? If anything, you know what I mean? Less carries, you already got your bag, you already got your big contract, so shit, you should be happy to do less work with a big contract. You know what I mean? If I'm Chuba Hubbard, hell, you cut down my workload. But it is what it is here. And shout out to Legette, man. He finally, for once in his career, actually looked like a possible good receiver here. 9 receptions, 92 yards, and he had that touchdown from Bryce Young. So, although it came at the expense of Ted McMillan, who didn't get a lot of catches, man. But we already know who Ted is. Ted is the future, right? We know Ted is a star. So it was kind of good to see another receiver outside of Ted actually show up here. But the offense still kind of simple, still kind of basic here, man. Still seeing where we're relying heavily on our running backs, but that's due to our quarterback, man. At the end of the day, I think this team is only as good as the quarterback allows it to be, right? And thank God, although Bryce is not putting up world-beating numbers, he's not hurting us over this 4-game winning streak. And, this little safe offense that you got going on with these bubble screens, these quick screens, and these wide receiver dump off and running the ball like that, that's cool. You know what I mean? That's cool against niggas missing, most of their fucking roster. Yeah, that's cool, right? But, there's going to be a time and point where you're going to be asked to stretch that ball down the field and really show off that arm talent. And, fortunately for Bryce, he just got his way out of a primetime game. So when we do lose this game to the Buffalo Bills, he won't be at the blame. But they know, if he was in there, you already know how this is going to go. But I do like Dalton. I think Dalton gives us a puncher's chance, and I do think this team is playing inspired. So, inspiration and a quarterback with, solid or decent arm talent, who knows what happens at home, What people think could be a pushover could be actually a dogfight. We don't know. If anything, all else fails, I know we're going to run the hell out of that ball, man. So, nice win, man. Nice win Sunday. But, I'll be a liar to sit here and I just kind of, I'm not ready to buy in, fellas and ladies and gentlemen. I'm not ready to buy in, right? To say that the Jets were a formidable opponent is laughable statement, right? No Wilson, and I don't even know who the second best receiver was. You know what I mean? But, we went out there and did our job. Man. So, what's up, D? How you doing, man? Yeah, man, I don't know what to make of this win streak other than we took care of business, and that's all you can really ask, man. The optics of it and the people who haven't been there or the people who've been there, that's really not their fault, right? As far as Bryce being out, will we miss him? I don't think so. It kind of reminds me of last year when we played the Raiders after Bryce stunk it up for the first 2 games last year. And then Andy Dalton came in, and that's when Adam Thielen got off, right? Adam Thielen got off before he hurt his hamstring, and his offense looked different. So, push come to shove, I expect for this to be probably an explosive game here. And I like for McMillan to have some deep shots. And hopefully, man, Jalen Croker, man, because he's a stud, man. If we can get him back on track. What's up, PPP? Yeah, man. Hopefully we can get him back on track, man, and get him to make some plays down the field. But this Buffalo game could be a slept-on game, right? It all depends, right? The play calling changes when Andy's on the center, right? You give him a full scouting week where he can look at the game and say, okay, here's the X's and O's. Not coming off the bench in the third quarter, you know what I mean? But, yeah, man, shit, man. You know what I mean? I really do like us in a dog fight, right, at home. It's not going to be easy, man, but Dalton changes the dynamic because of his arm talent. Shout out to PPP. Said they were bringing another quarterback next week. Yeah. Hopefully, man. Hopefully we can get some. We can keep riding the momentum, man. Inspiration is a hell of a drug, and I expect for these guys to take it against Buffalo, especially knowing what the Falcons did to them. Falcons may have shown Buffalo's weakness, but make no doubt about it, we're taking on the MVP, y'all. Until further notice, we're taking on the MVP from last year. So I'm expecting their best, and they're coming off a loss. You know, Buffalo's losing 2 games back-to-back is probably, unlikely. But it can be done, man. You know what I mean? It definitely can be done. Shout out to Mac. He said, yo, Big Cat, who would you bring at quarterback under these circumstances? At this point, man, I'm probably sticking with Dalton. You know what I mean? I won't bring in nobody else unless he just, for injury purposes, right? You know what I mean? But if you're asking somebody to come in here and learn the playbook in a week and, it's just, Dalton's our best chance while Bryce is out. Just, I get it. Why would you bring somebody else in, just as a safety measure, right? I'm not bringing nobody in to rely on them, just as a safety measure. So, Dalton knows the playbook. He knows the chemistry so far, you know what I mean? So, why bring somebody in to solely rely on them, you know what I mean? I want it. Just a safety measure. But kudos to them, man. 4 wins is nice. Yeah, got to stick to Dalton. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. And you know what? We got the blueprint, the running game. You seen what Bijan did to Buffalo, right? If you ask me, Rico Dotto can do the same thing. You might get a heavy dose of running game. You might get a shit. Both them running backs may have 20-plus carries against Buffalo, man. I honestly can see that. I can see Rico Dotto. I can see Chuba and them both having 20-plus carries. Because if Buffalo's that weak against the run, we got 2 solid backs. Don't go against it. You know what I mean? Take your shot to Ted when you got it. Take your shot to Ted. Hopefully Jalen Croker's back. Take your shots with him. And as Xavier Legette, he can play like the guy he played Sunday. That shit. We can control the game. The key is we got to get up early on their ass. My thing is this, man. Can you keep James Cook under wraps? And then you're going to have to get to Josh Allen too, man, because, that's a big boy, man. That ain't no Tyrod Taylor, and that ain't no Justin Fields. That nigga can break tackles. Their receiving game, I'm not necessarily worried about the receiving game. Keon Coleman and Shakir, they don't scare me. Now, we have been weak against tight ends, so, look for Dalton Kincaid to probably get his. I'm expecting for Kincaid to probably be their biggest weapon come Sunday. Our tight ends, us guarding tight ends for whatever reason, good tight ends anyway, like Zach Ertz, haven't been efficient, right? So expect for him to get off, but Jaycee Horn has been phenomenal. Mike Jackson has been serviceable. So, him lining up against Shakir or Keon doesn't scare me one bit, right? They don't scare me one bit. But really, man, it comes down to Josh Allen's ability to make plays and extend plays. This is the first game where we had at least 5 sacks in a game. This season, by the way, this season. We have had a couple sacks in game, but we ain't never had, over 5. So, was this just because we played a horrible Jets team? Or was this just, because we're really that good? I like to fall somewhere in between. I don't want to come off and say we're really that good, but I don't want to say that we did face a horrible Jets team. So we're somewhere in the middle. I don't think we're 5 sacks a game kind of team. I think we're more like a 2 to 3 sack team on a consistent basis. So I like this, man. I'm like make me a believer, dog, right? I'm not here to discredit nobody, but I'm not here to lie to niggas, right? You know what I mean? That's not my MO. This team ain't no 5, 6 sacks team a game. But they had a potential to average about 2 or 3 especially going up against good opponents. So, although I think it's nice, I appreciate the win and I appreciate the feel-goodness and the vibe around the city, man. Heard it's really high, man. Over 500, excuse me. We still got a long way to go. I'm taking notice, but I'm not buying in. But I tell you what, you take care of business against Buffalo, you take business against Green Bay, shit, I might have to go ahead and just take that leap. Super Bowl, here we go. If we beat Green Bay and Buffalo, I might have to say Super Bowl, here we go. So, which, again, man, anything's possible, man. Anything's possible. Look at the Giants, man. They went toe-to-toe with the Broncos, who was supposed to slaughter them. Even though they lost, man, they literally had the Broncos on the fence before they came back. The NFL is just full of parity this year, man. I don't know if you've been paying attention. Games that should be easy wins are turning into tough losses. Games that should be tough losses should turn into easy wins. Look at the Colts and Daniel Jones. The Colts and Daniel Jones out there beating up on team. Who thought Daniel Jones, who did take the Giants to the playoff one year, would have the resurgence that they have? So if the Colts can do it with Daniel Jones, man, I know we can do it with Bryce and this Panthers team. You know what I mean? I know it's possible. You know what I mean? So, although Bryce will be missed, I do have a little bit more faith in Andy Dalton. I have a little more faith in Andy Dalton. And I think the wide receivers are going to appreciate it too. You know what I mean? Because even with Bryce over this 4-game winning streak, he hasn't been a world beater, right? The only difference between Bryce week 1 and 2 versus these last 4 games is he hasn't been costing us turnovers. Yeah, he hasn't been costing us turnovers. Or we've been able to bounce back from turnover, because he did have 2 turnovers against the Dolphins, but we were able to bounce back. That's the only difference. It wasn't because that nigga balling. So let's not get it twisted. You know what I mean? And my feelings towards Bryce hasn't changed either. You know what I mean? I still want him out of here, because I feel like, a better quarterback, we don't have to worry about these nail-biting kind of games like that. You know what I mean? But, I got a feeling they're going to pick up his 5th-year extension. They'll pick up his 5th-year extension, and he'll get another chance or whatever. So, shit, man. It is what it is, man. You know what I mean? Shout out to Bull City. He said, man, Andy won 1 game in 3 years. Shout out to Cyclops TV. What's up? The Colts are winning because of Indiana Jones. Yeah, that's right. That Daniel Jones, man, a lot of people wrote him off, man. They wrote him off out of New York, but shit, man. Look what he's doing with that good run game, that good old tight end, Warren. Got Michael Pittman Jr., and that defense is playing inspired, man. So, shit, Does anybody think Daniel Jones is an all-star quarterback? I don't think anybody thinks Daniel Jones is an all-star quarterback, but he's doing enough, right? He's doing enough. He's utilizing weapons. He's leaning on the run game. He's using the hell of that tight end and Tyler Warren. And that defense is showing up, dog. Same blueprint. Same blueprint, you know what I mean? But, I will say this. Daniel Jones still throw for multiple touchdowns, 200-plus yard games, too. Don't get it twisted. Shout out to Air Raid. He said, I hope not. Oh, Lord, I hope not. Yeah. Hey, at this point, Air Raid, it's written, dog. It is law. It is law at this point. Bryce is here. Yeah, Bryce is here for another year, brother. Yeah, this is a 4-game winning streak. Has people, buzzing. We're probably going to finish anywhere between 7 to 8 games, which will put us probably down like in the middle of the draft order. So, yeah, he's back, brother. Go ahead and get that out your mind that he's going to be gone. He's not. He won't be gone. Shout out to Kevin Shepard for that super sticker. Thank you, brother. Andy came in and almost cost us the game. He's not better than Bryce. When he started last season, he didn't win nothing. True. But here's the thing, man. You got to understand, Andy was coming off the bench. You know what I mean? So it's not like he had a full week to prepare. It looked like he didn't, he wasn't anticipating to play this game. You know what I mean? I like to give a man a full deck of cards before I judge his hand. You feel what I'm saying? Don't steal that, by the way. Don't steal that, by the way. Hey, don't steal that, by the way. I like to give a man a full deck of cards before I judge his hands. And Andy wasn't given a full deck of cards last week. He was pushed in the third quarter, said, here you go, here's half your deal. So, yeah, let's back off on Andy a little bit. Hey, let's back off on Andy a little bit. Give him a full week, and then we can judge his hand. You know what I mean? But I like what he did last year against the Raiders, right? He came in, his team was demoralized. And then we just went out there and shredded the Raiders. So, but yeah, man. I believe in Andy we trust, man. Shit. Oh, let me change this. In Rico we trust. And Rico trust. I'm telling you, Rico and Chuba both gonna have about 20+ carries this game. They're gonna lean heavy on them. We're gonna have 40, hey, 40 rushing at a 10. Because if you look at how Buffalo did it, you look at how Atlanta did it, that's how Atlanta did it, right? Atlanta tore their ass up. And then Drake London got a piece, you know what I mean? Same concept. Shout out to Jalen Rhodey. He said, Kevin, stop, dude. We all watch the game. No, don't say it. No, he's just speaking his opinion. Shout out to Kevin. Yeah, he's doing his thing. Shout out to Rodney. Why have you been gone for 2 weeks? Be honest with you, man. I've been a little demoralized, man. I've been a little demoralized. I'm not gonna lie to you, brother. I've been demoralized. It was kind of hard for me to get up for this, right? Yeah, it's been kind of hard for me to get up to it, and I don't know, man. Yeah, it's been just yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I ain't really been feeling it, man. You know what I mean? So I just kind of took a little time off and just trying to get my head together, brother. But I'm back now. I'm back. Shout out to Rodney. He said them other podcasts are trash. No, we're not going to do that. Shout out to them other podcasters, man. They doing their thing, man. We got a beautiful community, man. Shout out to the Panthers community. Shout out to Chris. He said Rico should be the starter. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And to me, that's the thing. That's the cog that can unravel the wheel. If you try to force Chuba into a situation to where he has to earn his starting role back, you can unravel this whole thing. Stick with what's been working, right? Rico's been doing his thing. He got the hot hand. Chuba is now to play complimentary role. You know what I mean? Unless need be, right? If the game plan calls for him to have 20+ carries and it calls for Rico Dotto to have 20+ carries, then you roll with that. But if the game plan calls for Rico to have 20+ carries and it calls for Chuba to have 10+ carries, then you roll with that. Don't force it, man. Don't force it. But this is a game coming up where I can see us sticking to the run game because Buffalo's been very soft against the run. So this is a game where I can see both them boys having over 20+ carries. Yes, sir. Shout out to Jalen Rodden. Hey, man, he said if we had lost that game, it would have been on Bryce passes and Canales not running Rico. Yeah. Does anybody believe that we can beat Buffalo, man? Well, I got you guys here. Anybody got us beating Buffalo? Bills Mafia will be in the building. That's going to be a crazy scene in Charlotte, man. You guys make sure you give them hell, man. Don't let them take over the bank. Fill out that stadium. You know what I mean? Should be black and blue, man. But I'm telling you, man, what's coming Sunday is like nothing you ever seen before. MVP, Josh Allen. You talking about a playmaker, a guy with a rocket for an arm, a guy who can extend plays. Now, you're looking at the white Cam Newton, but smarter and more accurate. Yeah, smarter and more accurate here. Yeah. You guys ain't never seen nothing like this since the Cam Newton eras. And it's going to be fun to watch, but hopefully we have him walking out of there with an L. It's going to be real fun to watch. Shout out to CL. I don't like the switched tailbacks every series. The team will figure it out. Yeah, I agree with you. Shout out to GR. Mike Jackson will be tested again. I absolutely think so. Shout out to Air Ray. He said, I honestly don't know. Max says, we had the same formula, run first, good defense. Tim says, it could happen, but I wouldn't put money on it. Shout out to Des Denali. He said, we have a chance against Buffalo, believe it or not. I do. I believe it. I believe it. Carolina says, R. Kelly believed he could fly, so I guess we can win against the Bills. I used to think that I could. Shout out to D. If Andy shows up like he did in Seattle, we have a chance with Rico starting. Cyclops TV says, any given Sunday, there's no clear favorite for the Super Bowl. I hear you. Shout out to Bankroll. He said, the way we used Chuba and Rico yesterday was dumb as hell. That is, boy, how you utilize a two-back system. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Dave Canales got some real decisions to make, dog. You know, to me, I'm walking into Chuba's locker today, and I'm saying, hey, look, dog, no offense. I think you're a good back. We just paid you $100 million last year. So guess what? Just take a couple plays off because Rico's our guy. As simple as that. What about Xavier Legette? Does anybody believe that Legette, is that the real Legette? Did we see the real Legette yesterday? 9 catches for 92 yards and a touchdown? Does anybody believe that's who he really is? Man, I tell you what, man, I had a hell of a game, y'all. Yeah, man, I scored a touchdown, 9 receptions, 92 yards, man, I tell you what. Anybody, but I don't believe it, but hey, he had a good game, man. I'm not going to hate on him. He had a good game, shit. Do I believe he could do that week to week? No, not me. I don't believe it, but he had a good game. Shout out to him. Be right. What's up, boy? Max says, I believe in XL. Respect, respect. Shout out to D. Teal. Someone who can throw downfield is what he needs. Yeah. Well, Andy definitely can do that. Bankroll says, Bryce missed him wide open last week in the end zone. Chalky said, I'm done with Chuba. He can get the fuck on. God damn. That nigga said, why you say it like that? Y'all scroll up and read Chalky comment. Why you say it like that, man? Hey, why you say it like that, Chalky? I take it you're not a Drake fan. Shout out to D. Till. He said, Bryce ain't even air it out like that. Yeah. Dad says that XL potential. Bryce Young normally throw XL bad balls. That's a good point. That's a good point. Pause. Carolina E says, as soon as I believe that man made it to the moon will be the day I believe XL. Hey, man, it seems like you know what? It's nothing wrong with being reserved, right? You can still give credit and respect to a team that's on a winning streak, but you also can be reserved. That's all I'm saying, dog. Yeah, you're making a good point. I'm not taking anything away from this team, but I'm reserved. You know, I've been a Panthers fan since 2000, y'all. It's been a long time, y'all. Almost 25 years now. And I got to tell you, man, I seen this team go through, highs and lows. And I know what's coming, you know what I mean? I know the highs and I know the lows can be oh so cold, So it's kind of like, man, I'm going to sit this one back. I'm going to give respect and I'm going to give credit for what they done, but I'm also not going to be a prisoner of the moment. A lot of you guys are happy because we're just over 500s, but other teams are happy because they're playing for a Super Bowl berth or Super Bowl contention, right? I'm not happy just to be over 500. If we ain't division leading, if we ain't number one in the NFC, if we ain't playing to lock in the NFL playoff berth, you know what I mean? Shit, It is what it is, man. But so again, let me just calm it down. It's okay to be happy and celebrate. I'm reserved. Shout out to Rodney. Rodney said, Bryce is a liability. For some reason, your fan base has a hard time understanding that since your head coach has to make your play calling easier for Bryce. Shout out to Rodney. You ain't never lied, dog. You ain't never lied. I sat back and I watched the game with a little bit of a somber feeling, right? And although we won the game and although it was a good feeling, and although we're on a game-winning streak, 4-game winning streak, the reality is somber. The reality is Bryce is going to get his 5th-year option picked up. And the reality is Bryce is not very good. And the reality is Bryce has yet to consistently throw for 300 yards a game. The reality is Bryce is mediocre. The reality is that most of our receptions are going to running backs. You know what I mean? If not one receiver. The reality is this is a watered-down playbook who has to rely on gimmicks and trick and through the running game. And if that gets shut down, we're up shit's creek. That's the reality of it. But because we're on a 4-game winning streak, it gets masked, right? You know, doo-doo get masked when you got some air freshener. Doesn't mean it goes away. It doesn't mean it goes away. Just because you put a little poopery in your poop, it doesn't mean that it's not poop. It's still poop. We got a lot of stinky stuff on this team. But because we're winning, the little 4-game winning streak over niggas who've been hurt. Remember the Arizona Cardinals game? Niggas cornerbacks getting hurt. We had CeeDee Lamb out. We had Tyreek Hill out. We had Garrett Wilson out. It doesn't mean that it doesn't stink. It just means that you put a little air freshener on it. And that's the somber feeling that I get watching these games. I don't want to take anything away from this team. This team has done everything it's been asked to do. It's done everything it's done to be, required of. They've been playing hard. They've been playing for one another. I respect that. I give them props for that. But what I won't say is that it hasn't been fixed. It's not fixed. It's mask. Anybody know what mask is? You know what mask is, smell? A lot of you niggas do this. Instead of you getting up in the bathtub, you just spray Axe on your arm, right? This 4-game winning streak is Axe. You niggas refuse to get in the tub, but you spray Axe on your arm. Oh, I smell good. That's what this 4-game winning streak is. You just spray Axe on your arm. But the real problem is Bryce Young. We're still throwing for 130, 190, 180. And, shit, man, the run game is doing what it's doing, and the defense is playing inspired, so, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But the truth be told, man, that can only get you so far, man. No disrespect to anybody, man. That can only get you so far, brother. I love this team just as much as anybody else loves this team, but the reality of it is this team is going to just find itself happy with a 7-game winning season, maybe even 8. So if that makes you happy, I love it, baby. I love it too. Shit. Let me go to the comm section. Shout out to Jesse. He said, I hope the Red Rocket come alive Sunday. Hope so. Josh said this is a 10-win team. Shit, let's hope for it. Shout out to Rodney. He says, Big Cat, do you think T-Mac has a chance to become a franchise wide receiver with a proper quarterback? Absolutely. I think he's on his way, man. I believe in T-Mac. In T-Mac, we trust, dog. And T-Mac is a star, man. He's he's one of 2 receivers that I believe in on this team. The other one is Jalen Coker. Yeah, Coker. I'm not sure if he can stay healthy, but yeah, he's the other one I believe in, brother. Chris says, and Chuba had a laugh together, and he told him, I seen you trying to run like Rico. Hopefully they don't have any kind of jealousy, you know what I mean? I think that both of those gentlemen are exceptional gentlemen. First of all, let me say, shout out to Jimmy Horn last night. Jimmy Horn showed me some love, man. He followed me on Facebook. Shout out to Jimmy Horn Jr., man. So shout out to the homie. But, yeah, man, hopefully there's no contention between the two, right? So hopefully, Chuba, no matter how good Rico's doing, sometimes that can make a nigga mad, right? You play running back, he play running back, but he's getting the most to carry, he's getting the shine on. Hopefully, men can control their egos. Chuba doesn't strike me as a guy with an ego. But let's not lie, man. Somebody who has more success at what you do, it can make you feel a little funny, right? But hopefully, they keep that under control. I think they will. Solid, what's up? He says, I give Bryce credit, but yes, I'm still waiting for the disaster around the corner. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you something. I don't know if you guys know this, but I live with anxiety. I'm diagnosed with anxiety, and it's severe, okay? It's one of the worst feelings ever any man can experience. Often, out of the blue, it comes at random times, right? And you can't control it. Your body, I think it's your autonomic system or your autonomic system where you're constantly in flight or fight for no reason. It just turns on, right? Your heart races. You begin to perspire. Your breath gets heavy. You get nervous, even nauseous. It's a miserable feeling I deal with, right? But the Panthers give me that same feeling. You know what I mean? It's never a sense of ease with this team. It's never a sense of ease. It almost feels like you're waiting for that shit to happen, right? And so it's one of them things where I just try to take it calm. I practice breathing routine, breathing exercises, and just kind of like take a deep breath. Just try to stay calm with this team, right? They're winning right now, and they're doing their thing. So I just try to remain calm, support them, and just kind of hope that they keep it going. Because the moment you get all head over heels for this team, that's the moment they trigger that anxiety for your head, and then the bottom falls out, right? So it's just a different tone in this community right now, and I respect that because I know the first couple of weeks people were talking about fire Evero, and now we got a 6-sack game, and we're doing our thing. Jaycee Horn, the best cornerback in the world, and all that other stuff. But I know a lot of you guys were crying fire Evero. Now, which one is it now? Which one is it? So, yeah, you can't allow for your emotions to kind of get caught up in the things, right? And that's why I know a lot of you guys, where you been the last couple of weeks? I've been kind of just taking it easy, you know what I mean? I don't want to be the guy that's always panicking, but I don't want to be the guy that's overly optimistic either. Try to find a sense of balance when it comes to this team. So I will give them credit for what they've done. I respect what they have done. Despite, the asterisk next to every game, they're taking care of business. And you can't take that away from them, right? No matter how they got it done or who did what or who played how, a win is a win, and we got it done. So, I'm just not buying in as far as the overall product. You know what I mean? Still got a lot of season left. To me, it starts Sunday. And not only after it starts Sunday, we got the Packers. And not only do we have after the Packers, then I want to see us take on Baker. If we can dethrone Baker, then I believe. You know what I mean? Because Baker's the man. You're going to find out tonight when they beat the living fuck out of the Lions tonight. This is Baker's world. We go into Tampa Bay. Beautiful Tampa Bay, by the way. We go down there, beat the shit out of Tampa, come back home, beat Tampa. We win this division. I gotta kneel before the Queen. How that Queen song go up in Charlotte? For the crown. How that song go? For the crown. Some shit like that. Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. I like this little 4-game winning streak. I'm vibing with you, man. I'm just not over the head over heels. You know what I mean? I'm vibing like a motherfucker. Yeah, I'm vibing. Shout out to CL. He said the Jets were 0-6, and they still had us as the underdog in Vegas. Well, that's what they think about you. Yeah, even the sports bookie don't believe. You know what I mean? The sports bookie don't even believe. You know what I mean? But the thing is, man, you can't. What's up, Howard? What's up, brother? The thing is, though, bro, you can't blame nobody for being reserved on this team, right? Even the Vegas bookies, brother. We haven't really proved nothing, dog. You know what I mean? We put our head in the sand and we come out and won 4 games straight. I mean, all you prove is you can get yourself out of a head at the sand. You know what I mean? The difference between us winning, like for example, like what the Colts are doing, to me, that's impressive, right? They didn't start off 0-4 or 0-3 or 0-2 or whatever you want to call it, and then get off on a run. The Colts are kicking ass. They're 6-1? They got off to a hot start, and they kept that hot start. We literally pulled our head out the sand and then got off. Then we're running with a, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, two things. So I put it to you like this. 2 things can be true at the same time. The Panthers can be playing great, but the Panthers can still not be shit. You get what I'm saying? So 2 things can be true at the same time. Yeah, we're playing fantastic, but the Panthers still ain't shit. Yeah, 2 things can be true. I don't know if you guys ever heard that expression, but yeah, two things can be true. Yeah. And that's what's going on. That's what's real. That's what's real. If you think beating up on Tyrod Taylor and beating up on Justin Fields means something, then you're sadly mistaken. If you think about beating up on a 1-6 Miami Dolphins means something, you're sadly mistaken. If you think beating up on the Cowboys without CeeDee Lamb, you know what I mean? That's kind of impressive, I guess. And then destroying the Falcons, that's pretty impressive too. The way they played the Bills and stuff. So, you know, I give you half credit, nigga. Yeah, two things can be true. Yeah. Shout out to Dez. He said Panthers don't destroy bad teams. Yeah. That's what's real. That's what's real. And that's how you know you're a good team. Like, you see what Kansas City did to the Vegas Raiders? You see what Kansas City did to Vegas Raiders, right? The Vegas Raiders are a bad team. You take a bad team and you put his fucking head in the sand. And that's what the Chiefs did. The Panthers faced the bad teams and we play with them. We beat them by 7. Oh, yeah. Big difference now. You see what a Super Bowl winning team like the Chiefs do, right? The Super Bowl winning caliber quarterback like Mahomes, they put the Chiefs face in the dirt. I mean, put the Raiders' face in the dirt and laugh at them. We play a bad team and we play tug of war. Shout out to Joseph. What's up? On God, Josh Allen ain't underthrowing shit DBs we're beating. We were just fortunate enough to iron Taylor kept underthrowing everything. Yep. Absolutely. Hey, man, these ain't my words. Listen to your community, y'all. Listen to the community. Shout out to Exodus. Why are we so inconsistent, Big Cat? Brother, I wish I had an answer for you, man. I really don't have an answer for you, man. I mean, I can't sit here and blame Bryce for everything, you know. He plays his part, but he ain't the only reason why we've been inconsistent. You can look at the coaching. You can look at the wide receiver room. Hell, people don't realize this is the first time this year we had multiple sack games. We had over 5 sacks in the game. Yeah, people are happy. People don't realize, yeah. So, I mean, it's not just Bryce. It's not just Bryce, brother. Yep. Shout out to Dez. He says, I'm in Vegas and the Raiders fans are disgusted. Go ahead and sit Geno down for me, dog. Sit Geno Smith down. I don't know why Pete Carroll tried to bring in Geno like he was going to do something. Donald Vaughn, what's up, brother? No matter what the Jets did, the same to Denver and Tampa. No matter what the Jets did, the Jets did the same to Denver and Tampa. I hear you. Chalky said the defense did their job. The offense and the play calling coaching was just some major BS. I hear you. Solid, what's up, boy? Solid said we played a trash team and only won by 7 and barely did that. Hey, man, listen to your peers. People say I'm a hater, I'm a this, I'm a clown. Listen to your peers. Y'all hear what they saying now, right? Shout out to Solid. He said we won by 7 by beating the trash team. Hey, man, listen to your peers, dog. Shout out to Is Right Light. I guess I can somewhat be happy about the Panthers tattoo. What up, Big Cat? What's up, man? Yeah, embrace that Panthers tattoo, dog. Shout out to Kingston. What do you think about Derek Brown and Derek Brown, Jaycee Horn, and Nick Scorton? Well, Derek Brown has been the man. Okay? Derek Brown been the man. And, you know, he's not a sack artist. Okay, that's because for some reason I get the feeling like a lot of you guys are going to say, well, Derek Brown had 2 sacks, so he's going to do that every week. No. You know, I came out with a video on my old channel when we drafted him, and I said he doesn't have a variety of moves to get to the quarterback. But that doesn't mean that he's not a good defender. It just means that that's not in his wheelhouse. Well, Sunday it was. And after that video, you know, he followed me. I actually talked to his mom. I seen him. Nice, right? So what you're saying Sunday was an anomaly. Derek Brown didn't get to the quarterback averaging 2 sacks a game. But he played phenomenal. He's a superstar. He's the best player on this team. And, yeah, you were playing a subpar team, dog. You know, Derek Brown had a phenomenal game. He did what he was supposed to do against trash. Yeah. Same way with Jaycee Horn. You know what I mean? Jaycee Horn is considered an elite cornerback. Why the hell couldn't you lock up Reynolds? Who else? I don't even know the rest of the receivers. Reynolds and what was her name? Lazard? Yeah. So Jaycee Horn having 2 interceptions against Reynolds and Lazard, that shit don't impress me, dog. That's like saying Michael Jordan going up against Lonzo Ball. What do you think about Michael Jordan scoring 40 points against Lonzo Ball? Well, nigga. You know what I mean? They did what they're supposed to do. Shout out to Nick Scorton, too. They did what they're supposed to do, brother. Yeah. That's like getting in your car, giving your car a pat on the back for driving you to your home. You're supposed to do that, nigga. That's what I paid for you to do. Shout out to Jay Wright. He said Mitchell Evans needs to be tight end number 1. Sanders can't catch. We do need a tight end, man. That white boy has been very reliable. Tommy Tremble and JT Sanders. I don't know why ever since Greg Olsen retired, why we haven't had a bona fide tight end, man. Yeah, man. But Evans have been serviceable, yeah. Shout out to Vin M. He says, I agree. Jay Evans catching everything, even bad throws. Shout out to Kingston. I bet Andy Dalton we're going to see T-Mac have a monster game. Absolutely. Yeah, if Coker pays against Buffalo, he could probably have a big game. Coker will. T-Mac too. Why is Andy Dalton on his team? Because he's serviceable. Doug, what's up, Doug? He said, troll cap activated. No, brother, just spitting logic and game. Kingston says he's definitely not a sack artist, but he's a monster player. Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, 2 things can be true. He's not an elite pass rusher, but he's a great defender. 2 things can be true. Donald Vaughn says Tampa Bay beating the Jets 29-27. Why are y'all complaining? You do know Baker Mayfield was hurt that game, right? You do know Baker was hurt? You know Baker played through injuries. You know that, right? I don't think you know that. Shout out to Kingston. What's up, man? DeMarcus Olsen. Didn't the Broncos beat the Jets 10-11? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I ain't worried about the damn Broncos. Shout out to Kingston. He says, facts. Evans has been consistent. Yes, he has. MH, what's up, MH? Andy is good enough against the Bills defense. Yeah. That Bills defense is not what it used to be. Yeah. DeMarcus Olsen said, no, Baker wasn't hurt. He was healthy. Shout out to Bankroll Reed. He says, and Tyrod played the Tampa Bay game with no Fields. Doug says, my dog, glad you're back doing content. Back for now. Yeah, man, appreciate you. Shout out to Donald Vine. He said, like, come on. What the F? Shout out to Jalen Milroe, D1. I hate being a Dolphins fan. I hear that. Come on, be a Carolina fan. You're guaranteed at least 5 games. Shout out to Kingston. He says, why would you want to see us trade for some premium on defensive side? Would you want to see us trade for some premium? No, listen, it's too late to be doing all this trading and willing and dealing. We got what we got. You play what you got. You know what I mean? Yeah, dog. Kyle said, is Bryce gone? Bryce is officially ruled out, according to NFL pundit Tom Pizzario. He is ruled out against the Buffalo Bills this week, anywhere up to 2 to 4 weeks. But according to team sources, they're saying that they're expecting for him to come back rather sooner than later. But the estimated time is anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks. Pretty sure the Carolina Panthers will miss all 138 yards. Shout out to DeMarcus Olsen. He said, that is true. Be a Panther fan, not a Dolphin fan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would imagine Carolina is going to miss that elite production. If you guys don't know what that's called sarcasm. Oh, yeah. Any more questions? Any more concerns? You guys have been phenomenal. Yeah. Bryce was good in college. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, look, bottom line, man. Bottom line, look, man. The Panthers are riding a 4-game winning streak, man, and, they're inspired, right? They're inspired. So nothing's off limits, right? Nothing's off limits, and I expect for them to give Buffalo all that they got, right? If push come to shove, even if we don't win this game, it won't be no blowout. I'll tell you that. There ain't going to be no blowout on either side. A lot of people looking and say, well, the Falcons blowed out. The Falcons blowed out the Buffalo Bills, and we blowed out the Falcons, so we going to blow them out. No, sir. This isn't Madden, right? It doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. What's up, Birdman? What's up? Vin M says, if Andy Dalton balls and wins the game, do you think there will be a consideration of him starting? No. Nope. Bottom line, this is Bryce Young's team. If you don't remember last year, they had to fake a car accident to get Andy Dalton to lose his job to Bryce Young. Yeah, so as soon as Bryce is healthy, they'll put him back in there. The NFL is real funny, man. It's just real funny, you know what I mean? I just find it real funny, You're coming off a 4-game winning streak and then one of the biggest matchups of the year, you know what I mean? Now, Andy Dalton's playing in it. Why would they do that? Never mind. We're going down a different rabbit hole. I'm into that kind of conspiracy stuff, so don't worry about it. But, hey, it is what it is. No. Even if he does win this game, it's still Bryce's team, dog. Bryce fifth year. Bryce is here to stay, dog. Bryce is here to stay. Bryce ain't going nowhere. Get that out your mind. It's too late for that. Yep. Shout out to Carolina. He said, I'm going to miss Bryce. Also, sarcasm. I like that chasm. Shout out to Joseph. Hey, Big Cat. I'm from Cali, California, love. And I've been watching the UCL quarterback, nigger Llama Vama Llama. I'm curious, what do you think about him? And we get him late. I think we can be better than Bryce Young. No, sir. I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan, and nigger Llama Vama Llama, he was solid when he was at Tennessee, but all that attitude and shit hasn't matched up. I know they had Deshaun Foster as the offensive coordinator out there, which they fired. He's been playing very, very good lately. But, I'm going to pass on nigger Llama Vom Llama. And, I'm going to tell you what. This is going to hurt me to say this. At this point, I'm looking at the draft. And I can't really say there's a quarterback that we should even consider taking right now. Nigga Llama Von Llama, that nigga is all right, you know what I mean? But he ain't what we need, you know what I mean? Carson Beck is trash. I do like the kid from Cincinnati, Brandon Sorspees. I don't know if you guys been paying attention to him. The guy who I had, Rocco Beck from Iowa State, he's falling down my board. So, man, it's just not a good quarterback class. So, unfortunately, man, as much as I would love to see a quarterback taken, it's not wise to take one. At least not right now. Let alone nigger llama vama llama. You know what I mean? So, we don't. Plus, he has a lot of attitude. You know what I mean? I don't want to deal with that nigger llama vama llama. You know what I mean? So, he had a couple good ones. He beat Penn State. You know what I mean? I know Drew Allar broke his leg or something, broke his ankle. So, man, it's just not a right move right now, man. We got to ride with Bryce for another year, man. And that hurts, man. Do I like Alabama quarterback Ty Montgomery? Yeah, he's a cold white boy, man. But what is he? Ain't he like a sophomore? Or a freshman? Ain't he a sophomore or freshman? Yeah, ain't he like a sophomore or freshman? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm going to pass on nigga Llama Vama Llama. And Ty Montgomery's cold, man, from Alabama. Ty Simpson, I'm sorry. Thank you, brother. He's a junior. He's somebody I would consider taking like the roster. Boy, that guy plays good in big games, man. That guy played good in big games, dogger. What's up, DZ? Why you ain't got no wrench on? Put a wrench on, DZ. Put a wrench on this nigga. What's up, DZ? I don't know why you ain't got no wrench. There you go. Yeah, but that kid from Alabama, he might be a late round gem. Brandon Sorsby from Cincinnati might be. Y'all probably gonna laugh at me when I say this, but maybe even and now listen, I know you guys don't like small quarterbacks, but you know, just somebody to just keep an eye on. The kid from Vanderbilt, Diego Pava. You know what I mean? Diego Pava may be nice. You know what I mean? Look what he's doing with Vanderbilt. So shit, man, you know. Just keep your eyes on him, man. But all in all, man, my consensus is this, dog. I ain't ready to take nobody out this draft until proven otherwise. Stick with Bryce. I guess we can go defense again. You know, it looks like we're gonna win about 7 or 8 games this year. So, I guess what are you thinking here? You thinking about corner? What are you thinking? Another defensive lineman? What are we thinking, y'all? If we win 7 or 8 games this year, we fall in the middle of the pack. What are we doing? What are we doing? We're going linebacker, lineman. We're going corner. We definitely got to spend it on defense, right? So we already got your Manley escorting the edge rusher. So maybe another cornerback here? What are we thinking? Another corner, linebacker. Okay. Yep. Shout out to DZ. He said, dog, you was right. That KFC honey barbecue was hitting. I don't ever shoot you no lie, brother. I told you, bro, that honey barbecue, that's the jank. That's the jank. He said, go cornerback, linebacker, safety. Linebacker. Get another edge rusher. So are y'all cool with defensive line? Yeah, shout out to Bay. He said, nah, the wings too hot. Anthony Hill Jr. in the second round, another linebacker. Okay, so at least we all considering defense, right? So we know once we pull off these 7, 8 games, we're going defense. Okay. I don't want nobody here talking about, we need another receiver. Yeah, so cornerback, yeah. How's our little bit been playing? How little man been playing, y'all? How little man? What's up, Tyree? Cornerback, yes, sir. Cornerback, you say. How little man been playing, y'all, at the cornerback? What's little man name? Remember he had a big game a couple games ago. What's his name? Little man. What's little man at the cornerback? He had a big game like 2 games ago. What's his name, y'all? A little bit. Smith Wade, yeah. How he played, man? Yeah. Exodus says, what position is our biggest need? Shoot, brother. I mean, I would go defense. I'm thinking D-line, you know what I mean? I'm thinking D-line. Or corner. Chalky said he's been decent, not a liability. Linebacker or corner. Yeah. Yeah. Safety, Smith Wade, yeah. How Smith Wade been balling, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna be all right, man. We're gonna be all right, man. So right now, man, we riding high with these wins, man. Let's keep it rolling, man. I'm expecting each and every one of you guys under the sound of my voice. Come Sunday, you better be having a bowl of buffalo wings in front of you. That's the official channel's pregame meal Sunday, right? Sunday's pregame meal for everybody subscribed to the channel is buffalo wings. I don't care what flavor. I don't care what style. You better have a bowl of buffalo wings. We munching on bison, nigga. Shout out to DeMarcus Olsen. He said, I haven't followed college football too much to be fair. Facts. MH, what's up, man? He's also, Big Cat, I appreciate you keeping it 100. I'm starting to suspect some of these content creators on Bryce payroll. Oh, man, you're always welcome, man. Hey, look, man, you know, brother, when you lie, If you can't be honest with yourself, brother, you can't be honest with anybody else. I like this team, and I love the 4-game winning streak. But, you know, to sit here and say Bryce has been the reason for the 4-game winning streak would be a lie. To sit here and say that Bryce has been an exceptional quarterback has been a lie. What I will say is this: Bryce has done enough not to fuck it up. You know, if that means anything. You know what I mean? Maybe that makes me a hater. Maybe that just made me a real nigga. I don't know what it makes me, but I will say he's done enough not to fuck it up. So, shit, it is what it is, dog, you know? I try not to give niggas too much credit, but I also try to put things into context. You know what I mean? Exodus says, I love Caleb Downs. Don't think we'll have a high enough pick, though. I hear you. Bryce Young is not playing to lose. I hear that. I hear that. Shout out to OG Chris. He said that Cash App payroll. Yeah. No. I'm not on nobody's payroll. I don't imagine they'll be showing me on any kind of Panthers highlight film roll or anything like that. At this point, I don't even really care. You know, I just want to spit my game, you know. All right, y'all. We're coming up on an hour here. Let me give you my final thoughts. So just to kind of recap today's show, Bryce Young is down for Buffalo game officially, according to NFL pundit Tom Pizzario. High ankle sprain, could be down for 2 to 4 weeks, but according to team sources, looks like he'll be on the shorter side of that. That's prayers up for him. Hopefully he bounced back. Andy is the man, right? Also, the Panthers are riding a 4-game winning streak, but they have to face the Buffalo Bills coming into town Sunday. Josh Allen, who has a nasty taste of loss in his mouth after losing to the Atlanta Falcons, he's going to be seeking revenge. I do expect for the Buffalo Bills to come in there and to give us their best shot, right? And I do expect for the Panthers to do what's gotten us the win over the past 4 weeks. Run the ball, be smart, not turn it over. But it's only so much you can expect with a backup quarterback. It's going to be interesting to see what happens if the Panthers get down by multiple touchdowns. What happens when you can't run the ball, right? If you're down by 14 or 17, you can't just stick with the run game. You're going to have to air it out. So would that be a recipe for disaster, or would the wide receiver step up and, you know, be our biggest asset? So it's going to be an interesting dynamic. But to take away from the 4-game victories, the team has not allowed for the start to affect their current journey, right? So it's easy. They could have, you know, packed it up and say, man, I'm giving up on the season after losing to Jacksonville and Arizona and the Patriots. Instead, they decided to get some gumption in their blood and, they chose to fight back. You know what I mean? Now, all those wins do have asterisks next to them, right? You got a lot of asterisk marks next to these wins, but at the end of the day, they chose to fight, man. And I got to respect any man who get up off the canvas, right? In life, you're always going to get knocked down. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how much money you have. At some point in your life, you're going to get knocked down. But the trick is getting back up. And the Panthers have gotten back up, all right? I'm your host, Nick Gato, also known as the Big Cat. 95ers, let me hear you roar. This has been 1995, The Roar. Channel for the fans, by a fan. Hey, look, man, if you like it, hit the subscribe button, like button, share. I'm back here, man. Get in the comment section. Let me know how you guys feel about Bryce Young. Are they going to pick up his 5th-year option? Is he here to stay? How do you feel about this 4-game winning streak? Is it fluke or is it the real deal? And how do you guys feel about the Buffalo Bills game? Is this a trap game, recipe for disaster? Will the Carolina Panthers come back down to earth, or will we continue to ride high? All right? I love you guys, man. Y'all be good. Thank you guys for the support. 1,500 loading. Let's keep it rolling, baby. We out.